According to the United Nations in 2017, the Sustainable Development Goals are by definition a call for action by all countries, poor, rich, and middle income, to promote prosperity while protecting the planet. They recognize that ending poverty must go hand in hand with strategies that build economic growth and address a range of social needs including education, health, social protection, and job opportunities, while taking climate change and environmental protection.
We are talking about the SDG number 12 that is responsible of consumption and the number 3 that is the responsible about health. We choose these SDGs because of all the problems we see nowadays, compared to the ones that we had on the 19th century. These two goals are related because both of them are related with the industrialization and repercussions that it had in health. For example, the hospitals, we are not prepared enough for diseases generated by CO2 or even the food eaten by them.
The background of it is that in the 19th century, industrialization and economics took a very important place in the development of large cities, such as Mexico City. This is because as companies sold really quick their products, they became successful, so they needed to continue generating incomes to their enterprises. To keep getting money, they needed to produce what they were selling. Only that time in relation to the working hand was not enough. Everything was made with new machinery. It replaced individual manual labor. On one hand, it facilitated many long and tedious works by performing them in greater quantity and speed. On the other hand, many jobs were lost and workers were exposed to harsh conditions and overexploited in terms of working hours.
As enterprises grew and became richer, the environment was being affected. The machines used to make products in a massive and fast way generated a lot of heat. Also, materials needed for constructions had to melt in order to be used, such as steel. It is the alloy of iron and carbon, which means that by the time they were smelting the materials, lots of CO2 were released in a massive quantity. This is known as greenhouse gas, which nowadays is a huge problem related to the environment and pollution, which affects Mexicans' health. Back in the 19th century, changes were slightly noticeable, but those people who were not economically affected decided not to give it importance and to continue using their source of income, which was construction. Neither climate change nor health was seen as a serious problem to be addressed, because as the 19th century people were conformist, they would continue polluting as long as there were still a huge demand for new buildings, because industries had a great impact on the development of Mexico City. But industries needed cheap labor, and as industrialization arose, there were little job opportunities. As people needed the money, they were exposed to harsh conditions and overexploited in terms of working hours. Not only did that affect their conditions, but also being exposed to all the heat and CO2 made workers to start having lung diseases.
We chose the Monumento a la Revolución because from up here we can see how not only does industrialism and higher classes help the development of Mexico City, but also its pollution and repercussion on health. This was essential for the city growth, speaking politically and economically.
Nowadays, it is a real problem and remains in the Sustainable Development Goals. It is still a problem because every day the percentage of CO2 is increasing, which affects directly on Earth's atmosphere, or greenhouse gas. If we exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius, there will not be future long-term solution to the problem. That is why it needs to be seriously taken into account by everyone. We need to stop what past generations started. And also, if we don't stop this problem, mortality rate over lung diseases will increase harshly.